I'm happy to be with you here tonight. This is not the first time I come to the Cambridge Union Society. I've been here a couple times, but the last time I was here, maybe 2 years ago, when I was a little bit optimistic about the peace process. Sometimes, you know, we have, if we cannot be optimistic, at least we can be hopeful that, you know, a breakthrough might take place and we might go back to the negotiations table. I know, you know, let me start with some general remarks about this conflict. I know you are educated, highly intellectual, being students at Cambridge University. I'm really thrilled to see that definitely you are well versed with issues in the Middle East, let alone, I mean, the conflict per se that has been going on for the last 100 years. We cannot negate the fact that the instability and insecurity in the Middle East have been a culmination, basically, to the non-resolution of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. In other words, what I'm trying to say is the fact that this conflict cannot be looked upon only sociologically, but it has to be looked upon psychologically and politically. So, I mean, if we put all the factors together, it makes it much more complicated to understand the nature of this conflict. And that militarization of the Intifada was one of the fatal strategic mistakes of the Palestinian leadership. I was, at that time, head of the Palestinian University, and I was a consultant, you know, to the PLO office in Jerusalem, and I was involved in the negotiation affairs department, and I said it is wrong. We should not have played into the hands of the Israelis because this is what they wanted. They want to derail the entire peace process, put the blame on the Palestinians, and by using firearms, we were in the wrong game. And actually, we have paid a very heavy price where all West Bank cities have totally been destroyed after billions of dollars were pumped into the economy as well as into the constructions. So there were no negotiations per se between two entities that could claim certain kinds of rights. It was a diktat of power politics supported by the United States of America. That's why we have lost hope in the Americans. For the last 20 years, we have been believing that the Americans could really manage this conflict and find a resolution. But unfortunately, it has been managing the crisis rather than finding conflict resolution to this conflict. And that in itself made the frustration even higher when you don't see any kind of a balance by another power to that of the United States involved in the political process of the Middle East. Where we have, you know, the Arab Spring, we have all these problems, regional, ethnic, whether religious or sectarian conflicts in the Middle East. We have an internal problem between Fatah and Hamas, which makes it even a little bit more problematic for us to have a united stand, especially on the political program and the forms of resistance against occupation.
I could point out a lot of sort of issues I have with your speech, a lot of the propaganda that I think you put forward, but it's pointless because you'd have responses for everything I have to say, and then we wouldn't get anywhere. Instead, I just want to ask, how do you think peace is possible when the entirety of your speech seems to be predicated on blaming one partner in this conflict and assigning no blame at all to the other? You repeatedly said that Israel needs to do this, Israel hasn't done this, Israel does that, Israel does this. And it seems very clear who you blame for this conflict. And I don't see how you can claim that Palestinians lack a partner for peace when the only side you ascribe any blame to, as is evident from your speech, is the state of Israel. Surely there needs to be a concession on your part in ascribing blame to the Palestinian leadership now in its 10th year of a 4-year term, and rather than just ascribing blame to Israel. That's no way to achieve peace.
I know from where you are coming. One thing, you should have a peace first in your mind personally, to understand that you cannot equate the victim with the victimizer. And you cannot expect the victim to give concessions to the victimizers for the victimization process. You have to understand that we are under occupation And we have the legitimate right to defend ourselves and to get rid of this occupation. You're not talking about two countries, okay, on equal footing. So this blame game that you think it's only one-sided, you cannot sell this political discourse anymore, because you understand that occupation is detrimental, and what occupation has done to the Palestinian people is also detrimental. The international community have seen exactly what Israel is doing with the Palestinians. Enough, my friend, 47 years of occupation. That has to end. And the way to end, you are talking to a diplomat who has understood the political realities. And I'm not here at the university to give propaganda speeches. I'm stating the facts. And those facts are being known in the social media. We have to react. When we are killed and maimed, we have the right to resist. So don't you ever put the victim and the victimizer on equal footing.